Alright. So the first question that I have for you, how would you define leadership?
How would I define leadership?
Yeah.
I think leadership is noticing a gap and trying to address that gap. So I think leadership is about taking an active role in your community and contributing in a positive way at a very high level. I'm going to give you like a high level answer and then I'll bring it down. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think anyone can be a leader. I think leadership takes a lot of different forms. So the way being a leader for one person works is not the same way another person can be a leader. So it's very broad. Anyone can be a leader, and it's just about contributing to them.
Yeah. What would that look like? Yeah.
If you're talking about things you can see
Or do, yeah.
feel, I think leaders support others. So leaders can help people, they can be like supporting people if they are in times of trouble. Leaders can help people develop themselves. Leaders are strong and not afraid to fight for what's right. So I think what it would look like is standing up, talking publicly, being there and present.
Yeah.
That's definitely a part of leadership. I think leaders can also be in the background, more silent, working to further a cause, further an issue. So you can see leaders working towards a cause, whether that's writing letters, whether that's organizing groups, starting clubs at Mount Royal, hosting events, tutoring friends.
So I heard you say a lot of things on using what you believe in. And I heard you also talk about leading from the front or leading from behind. What do you identify as?
I would say somewhere in the middle. It depends on, sometimes I think that leaders need to leaders are there to stand up.
Yeah.
So if there's something going on, especially in my experience at Mount Royal, if there's an injustice or just something you need to bring awareness to, I think it's really important for someone to be like, hey, this is a problem, we need to address this, and we need to have conversations about this, and we need to be brave and move forward.
Yeah.
So that's how I would feel leading from the front is. But I would say, in regards to your question, I'm somewhere in the middle. There are things I'm very public and trying to lead and being hey, rah rah, let's get this going. And then there are things I think that you can accomplish as a leader that aren't always like that. So you can be a leader by working on improving policies to make your space better and more friendly to students, for instance. So I think there's a lot of leaders, for instance, that when I think of leaders that lead from behind, not lead from behind, but sort of in the background, people who work on policy, I see a lot. So whether it be on the student governing board or just in different roles around campus, there are people who have meaningful things to say and contribute that make their community a better place.
Yeah.
But they can do it through policy, they can do it through sending in their concerns. They don't necessarily have to be that rah-rah at the front person. So I feel I fall somewhere in the middle.
Cool.
Cool. So, that was really roundy.
No.
I told you I rounded.
No. I totally get it. You lead from the front. Sometimes you don't want to lead in the front, right? I'm the same way. I don't want to be in the front all the time.
I think someone else pointed this out. I'm a very, my leadership is very outcomes orientated. So whenever I do something, I'm what's the outcome of this? So it's one thing, like, whatever you do, if you're like, I want to throw a party, like, what's the point of your party? Is your point of the party for everyone who comes to have like a really fun time? Is the point of your party to get a lot of people out there? Is the point of your party to have people make some really meaningful connections? Like, what's the point of your party, for instance? And then you cater it, you build everything towards whatever your goal is. So if your goal is to get as many people there as possible, it could be like, cool, we'll have some cakes. But if your goal is to have like some meaningful connections, it could be like, cool, we'll have some cakes.
Makes sense. Makes sense, yeah.
Oh my god, I did not. That was a joke.
No, I get it. I totally get it. I thought you were gonna be like less liquor or something, but like that kind of shocked me. Okay.
No. I'm not one of those people, but I think it's all about outcomes. So if you're like, I want the university to make this change, I'm probably going to talk about the university a lot because it's my job. What's the best way to make that change? So when the girl got her bag stolen from the bookstore, I was like, okay, that sucks. We should address that problem because like it's a member of the community, they got their stuff stolen, it sucks in a service provided by the university where students should feel safe. So there was a couple ways I thought we could go about that, and I'm like, oh, we should like be all like rah, change it, and I'm like, no, actually, that doesn't make sense. This is a decision of one person. We should just go to the person, present our case as passionately and like I don't know, articulately and like professionally as possible. So I collaborated with the person who got their bag stolen, and we did that in a very professional manner, and then they took it away. So like the outcome that we wanted was achieved in a very behind-the-scenes way. And then, see what I'm saying? It's like, I don't remember what the question was. I'm very rambly. Outcomes.
No,
Outcomes are important.
Yeah.
I like to cater everything to outcomes. So that's how I describe my leadership style.
Would you say, like, are you dependent on the outcome, or?
Sometimes you don't get the outcome you want. I could be like, you can have an outcome and you don't come near achieving that. And that sucks, and you just need to reflect on that. You have to think of why didn't you achieve that outcome, and you learn from that. If there's something you did that did not work to that outcome, change it for the future. There's nothing you can do to change the past. Make sure that if you're in a leadership position, mistakes will happen, always. I don't think any leader is ever free from making any mistakes. I think it's what you do with those mistakes that define how good of a leader you are. So if you do something and the outcome wasn't what you wanted, just really reflect on it, determine why that happened. Was it something in your control? Wasn't it? If it was something in your control, change it for next time. Make sure that whoever, I don't know, any parties involved know to change it for next time. Reflect that, document that, because documentation is also part of being a leader, and move forward.
Yeah. Interesting. It's a different style. I've never seen this before. What would be your leadership values?
What I value as a leader?
I don't know, like leadership values, such as like courage, honesty, like.
So, what do I value in like my own personal leadership, or like when I see a leader, what do I value in them? So,
no, your own person.
Honesty. I think you need to be honest with yourself and with others to be a good leader. I think people respect honesty. Being humble, people respect that as well. I think it's really important because being a leader, you want to communicate with people, you want to inspire. There's things you want to do as a leader. I think being humble is a huge part of that. I think in all of the great like leaders, bosses, like students I've known who I think are great leaders, they're all humble. So I think that's important. Creativity. Adaptability. I think being a leader, being adaptable is huge because you never know what's going to be thrown at you. If you're in a leadership position, chances are you are taking some risks sometimes and thinking a bit outside the box and doing different, because you're trying to change your community for the better. So you gotta be adaptable. Sometimes you'll get thrown things that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, like curveballs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. Philosophy.
What are your challenges that you've experienced as the VP of Student Life?
As VP of Student Life, I think being a commuter campus, there can be challenges getting the community engaged, and I think engagement looks different to everyone. So engaging the whole campus. I think one of the challenges I've had is, do you want like concrete challenges, or do you want like just like leadership challenges?
Give me the hard facts.
The hard facts.
Yeah.
I think it can be hard. Yeah, I think promoting events is difficult because we don't have access to email of students. So, and students have identified email as one of the ways that they want to be contacted about events. So when we're not able to email, we can like do Facebook, we can do posters, we can do word of mouth, we can like have a booth up, but it's not always. It's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge.
But getting emails?
Yeah, there's an agreement, or there's not an agreement with the university, where we don't have access to the emails of students. So we don't have that email list where clubs, when they're doing an event, they send out emails. Or when they're sending updates. I know because I'm on every club email list.
Yeah.
We don't get that from SAMRO, and I think it's actually a real disservice. Like, I think it's a huge disservice.
Is there a reason why?
Yes, it's because of privacy agreements. And yeah, the university's stance is that they don't want to share that like private information with students. Before these new laws came in, there used to be like, I think, a semesterly email. And I don't think students would be opposed to a semesterly email.
Depends how often the emails are, right?
Yeah, if it's like every day, I think people would be like, okay, that's enough,
Yeah.
thank you. But I think, every couple months, like, here's some big events going on, like, hope you're doing well, here's some info on clubs, like, yeah. I think that's a challenge. I think another challenge is, how do I phrase this? I don't want to say a lack of understanding. I think a challenge is there's so much like I want to do, and I know this is the sentiment of my execs as well, but it's outside. Like we could really want to do something and it's kind of outside of our position. Does that make sense? So we can advocate, so we definitely advocate, but there are things that we really want to do that are outside of our position, And I think there's a lot of, yeah.
What's an example?
What's a good example? Everything's closed? Hello, sorry.
It seems like a funny day.
It's open. I think yeah, they're closing. Use your juice. I think there's sometimes things that we want to do that either the university's covered or might be covered by like SAMRO governing board. I think you get like, especially VP Student Life, you get in this job and you're like, cool, I want to like do this thing with the hub, and it's like, oh, that's not really your job.
Wait,
So
what?
and it's like not, it's like there's things that are outside of your area. I don't know. This is a horrible example. Maybe don't put this one in there.
Okay, you want to pause it?